Yesterday we talked about this, the Secret Service releasing the National Threat Assessment Center's latest report on mass attacks in public spaces. That report covers 173 attacks from 2016 to 2020, including 5 that were here in Colorado. It found that many of the attackers were motivated by personal grievances or motivated ideologically. It says the attackers showed troubling signs before committing an act of mass violence.
In the incidents that occurred in Colorado as well as nationally, one of the main things that is consistent across all of those is that the majority of the attackers engaged in concerning behaviors, and those behaviors elicited concern in those around them in the community.
Well, back with us today to talk about it is Steve Carlton, a licensed clinical social worker. And I imagine for you this was enlightening in some ways, but also just emphasizing points you may have already felt you understood about what these attackers may or may not have had in common.
Certainly, and I think it's good to get the message out that there are warning signs for these ahead of time, and people should be aware of those, and I think that can help prevent some of these if people are aware of some of those things.
And you said there were like some big takeaways about who these people or what's going on.
Yeah, that's right. There's 4 main points here.
Okay.
You know, the first one is most of these people have experienced some form of childhood trauma, right? So they've already kind of started out struggling. The next is they have some type of grievance. They have some type of crisis that comes up in their life. There's some catalyst to this. And then what's really important to remember is most of these people talk about it. They start a narrative about committing these acts of violence. And then lastly is access to guns.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 things that most of these shooters have in common.
Yeah, the first 2, a lot of people may not know about someone when you talk about childhood trauma or that grievance, because that can live in a very small space in your own apartment or whatever. That can be something you don't share. But when you talk about them at some point having said what they might do or written what they might do, that's something that I think we've become more sensitive to or more aware of, and hopefully understand what to do about that more quickly or better.
Yeah, and it's important to report it and call the authorities if you're worried. I mean, those are reportable things that people should be making calls about. Take it seriously. Let the authorities sort out whether or not that's something to be worried about. What's really interesting about these incidents is that they're, in terms of gun violence and statistics on gun violence, mass shootings are relatively low, right? But the impact these have on people, how extreme they are, how afraid it makes entire cities, countries, and that's really
where the term terrorism evolved from. It's not the people you directly impact, it's the breadth of that impact throughout cultures and people and places.
Right, yeah, and after Uvalde happened, dropping my kids off at school, I mean, you're naturally just nervous, even knowing these statistics that it's very low rate that's going to happen. Doesn't matter. There's still this intense fear around it.
Well, and when we think of Colorado, I mean, it's everywhere. Churches, grocery stores, theaters, schools, everything is impacted. When you say these warning signs and reporting it, I mean, you probably can't put this all in one area, but in most cases, this has been going on for a while before somebody acts.
Typically, those grievances and things that happen are within a year.
Within a year.
Those significant behavior changes are happening within a calendar year.
Do you see progress, or do you see this as becoming the new status quo? Because I think a lot of people fear that we are becoming somewhat not comfortable but used to these attacks, and they become part of, oh, okay, it happened again.
Yeah, I think you do get desensitized, and people's natural inclination is to look away, to turn the TV off when they see that type of thing. Again, it's statistically rare that this would happen, and I think people need to remember that. And after these, in response to it, it's common to be like, maybe I'll stay in this weekend, maybe I won't go out. And it's really important that people push against that and get out and continue to go and live your life. And to turn your attention and focus to the heroes in these situations, the people that show up, the people that help, the people that are...
Club Q, lots of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you talking about with us, and always liked your visit. It's good to see you again, Steve.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you too. Thank you.